We can't convince ourselves of God's truth. We can't convince someone else of His truth. You know, we can tell someone we love them all day, but until they decide to believe it, our words do not have the power to change them. But when they do believe it, then the words we've spoken come alive. And that's how God's word is. What people try to do that get stuck is they try to convince their head what His word says. But we are not convinced of His word until we experience it. So we know His word, but not until we're known by His word. So let me tell you what that looks like. What people try to do is, like I said, they try to push through in their willpower. Paul talks about that in Romans 7:19. He goes, why do I do what I don't want to do? He was getting caught up in the law, and that's what we do. We go, okay, I'm going to stop doing this behavior. I'm tired of it. Well, that's what we try until we die. Or what people do is try to have a private healing with God, and certainly that's an option, but they won't feel the full manifestation of healing until they open up their heart with His body. And that's why He gives us His body. So for just, we're trying to say the word in our head and we're agreeing with it in our spirit. Those are two ways that we're supposed to be operating in that. But if we're omitting the heart, we're only operating on 2/3 of the source that God gives us to heal. Does that make sense? So that means we've got to get our heart before godly people who are grounded in truth and grace, who can love us in spite of what we need to talk about, what we've done, who can say, I love you no matter what. And that's the full, as Paul says, 2 Corinthians 9:15, the indescribable gift. That is the full throttle of grace. We know it doesn't stop this way from God, but the full throttle of grace is getting before God's people and them saying, I love you, in spite of what you've done. I still love you. I'm not going to leave you. I'm standing with you. I am never going to leave you. And of course, that's what God tells us. That's His presence. But when we experience grace with His body, that is grace with skin on it. That's what grace feels like in hugs. That's what grace feels like, people standing with you and saying, I love you. You're worth it. I'm going to invest in you. That, my friend, is what puts tread on your tires and gets you out of the ditch and on the road to, being on course for the life that God planned for you long ago before you were ever born. And that's how you fulfill that. So ask questions. Let's talk about this, but don't stay stuck. You don't have to, but you are going to have to take the risk to open up your heart, which means you may be rejected. But until we take that risk, then we won't know we're accepted. And if you've read my stuff or listened to any of these videos, you know that the rejection pales in comparison to the power of that acceptance, because acceptance is grace. So let's talk about this. Let's get out of that ditch. Talk to you later.